Hi, I'm going to show you how to play 6 Feet Apart by Luke Combs. It's a quarantine song, and this tutorial was requested by my patron Will. And just so you know, he asked me to make it as difficult as possible. The original version of this song is tuned down a half step, but we're going to learn it in standard tuning on our ukuleles. And there's also a lead sheet in the description if you want to download that. We're going to use 5 chords, and they're all down here. If you already know them, then feel free to skip ahead. Our first chord is G. You're going to put your first finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the 1st string, and your 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and here's G. Then our next chord is D, add 4. You're going to put your first finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string again, and then your 2nd finger right next to it on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string. And here's D, add 4. Then we have C. You're just going to put your 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 1st string, and here's C. Then A minor. You're just going to put your 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, and here's A minor. And then our last chord is E minor. You're going to put your first finger on the 2nd fret of the 1st string, 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and your 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the 3rd string. Here's E minor. And those are all of the chords. So first we're going to learn how to play the intro and the verse. They have the same chord progression, and there's actually a lot going on in this chord progression, so we're going to learn it bit by bit, and we're going to start with just the first 2 bars. So here's what those 2 bars sound like. So in these 2 bars, we're just using G and D add 4, but we're also doing a hammer-on on the G chord. And I've added asterisks down below so that you can see where the hammer-ons are. But to do the hammer-on, you want to start with your 2nd finger off of the fretboard, and then after you strum, you add it back to the 2nd fret of the 1st string where it's supposed to go usually, and you want to put it down pretty firmly so that it will make a tone. It sounds like this. So just make sure that your finger is curved and that it's firm, because if you're too gentle or if you're on the side too much, then you're just going to deaden the string, like that. So our chord progression is just alternating between those G and D add 4 chords like this. And now we can add in our strumming pattern. It's also a little bit tricky and it might take some getting used to. It did for me too. I've never done this strumming pattern before. But what we're going to do is down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. So a little slower. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. So we're going to start on the G chord and we play our hammer on that first down strum, like this. Down. And then we have up, down, up. So that's all that happens on G. Down, up, down, up. Then we switch to D add 4 and we play the rest of the strumming pattern, like this. Down, up, down, up, down, down, up. So all together, G, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. And that's the first line of this chord progression. So here's what the second part of the chord progression sounds like. So now we're going to be doing the strumming pattern on C and A minor. We split it up in the same spots. So we have down, up on C, and then down, up, down, down, up on A minor. And put together, it sounds like this. And then in the very last part, we're going to do a slightly different strumming pattern. So on this next C chord, we have down, up, down, up, down, up. So it's similar to what we had before, but we have an extra down, up, like this. Down, up, down, up, down, up. And then we're going to play down, down, up on both A minor and D add 4, like this. So starting from that C chord, it sounds like this. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. So let's go back to the very top and we'll play the whole progression, starting from your G chord with the hammer on. So this progression happens one time for the intro and then 2 times for the verse. And at the very end of the verse, we're going to end up on a G chord, but on that G chord, we won't do a hammer on. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the very beginning and play through the intro and then the verse. And I want to give a couple pointers for the lyrics in the verse. You want to make sure that you practice this strumming pattern a lot before trying to add the words in my opinion. Like, I found it pretty tricky to try to add it in all together. So make sure that you have this groove down and your head wrapped around like where the changes are happening. And then one other thing I want to point out is that oftentimes the second chord in the progression, so for example G and then going to this D add 4, the change usually happens on the word the in the lyrics, which is a little bit confusing, but if you notice it, it helps a lot with knowing where to change on the strumming pattern. Okay, so just take note of that as we play through the intro and the verse now. Here it is all together. So now we're going to be learning the chorus, and the strumming pattern is going to be the same except for in the very beginning we have something different. The chorus starts on that last G chord from the verse, and we're going to be playing G, going to C, and we're going to play down, up, down, up, down, up on each of these chords like this. And then after that, we're going to go back to our regular strumming pattern that we've been using throughout the whole song. But there is a twist. We're going to be sometimes using the whole strumming pattern on one chord rather than splitting it up between 2 chords, which is what we've seen before. So now in this next bar, we're going to play a full strumming pattern on D add 4. By the way, this makes it easier, in my opinion, to play the strumming pattern, not harder. So here's D add 4. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. Then we will split up the strumming pattern between G and D add 4, just like how we did in the previous progression, like this. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. And then we play a full strumming pattern on E minor. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. So let's go back and play through this whole line now, starting on G. And remember, we have that different strumming pattern on G and C. So here it is. Down, up, 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 down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. And now in the second part, this pretty much repeats, except for we're not going to have G and C in the beginning. We're just going to have C, and we're going to use the regular strumming pattern that has already been in the whole song. And by the way, I got these strumming patterns from Luke Combs' acoustic videos, so you're learning the exact strumming patterns that he used. And I also want to say that these are not necessary to play exactly like how we're doing. But anyway, here is the second line, starting on C now. Down, up, down, up, down. then at the end of the chorus, we have one last little part. We're going to play a full strumming pattern on C, then a full one on D add 4, and then we're going to end up going into an interlude, which is the same as what we had in the intro. So going back to the G and the D add 4, that whole thing. So here's what that last little bit sounds like. So now here is the whole chorus all the way through with the words. And by the way, if you like these videos, please go support me on Patreon. It really helps. And I'm also going to post the lead guitar part there on the ukulele. So it'll be cool and exclusive for the patrons. So now here is the whole chorus. Miss my mom, I miss my dad. Miss the road, I miss my band. Giving hugs and shaking hands. Just how long this thing goes, but there'll be crowds and there'll be shows. There will be light after dark, someday when we are 6 feet apart. So then after this, everything that happens is just a repeat of one of these sections that we learned already. And that is how you play 6 Feet Apart by Luke Combs. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos, learn more ukulele, and hear more songs. Also, I just wanted to say really quick that if you're feeling frustrated at all, please don't be too frustrated, because this is a very tricky song to get under your fingers. Like, it was hard for me, and I've been playing ukulele for a long time and doing music for a long time too. So it takes some getting used to, and if you don't have it down today, then give it a rest, sleep on it. You might come back tomorrow and it'll be easier. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time. Bye!